topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
You're listening to the ASQ podcast for a transformational approach to life and leadership, blending soul wisdom with modern insight to create outer impact.
All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode, a live episode of the ASQ podcast. My name is Omar, and
I am Jessie.
Yeah, and it's cool to be back. Today we have a very special guest, someone that I have worked over the last 2 years, and has opened up my mind to a lot of beautiful things actually that are happening with men in the community. So I'm excited to actually sit down with him. I mean, we see each other at least once or twice a week. But just to sit down with him and just kind of like take a look at him from a personal development standpoint, and also from the things that he's doing for his family and the community.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I didn't really meet him until just recently, so I'm excited to learn a lot about him. Yeah.
And before we get started, I want to let everyone know that on the week of January 12th, and I'm going to say this again at the end, we will be starting our ASQ Coherence Masterclass. And what that is an opportunity to really get to know you. It's more than what you consider self-help. It's more a recognition of who you truly are. And the Coherent Masterclass is something that Jessie and I have been working for a few years through our own personal development and the things that we have learned. And we will be starting that in January 12th, the week of January 12th. So to learn more about it, visit our website, asqempowerment.com. So you can learn more about it. Yeah. So I just wanted to put that in there, and I'll remind everybody afterwards. But let's talk about our guest, Jess. Let's introduce our guest for today.
So our guest is John Cesar. He has transformed his own journey from Haiti to Fort Pierce into a life of humble impact. He leads community engagement efforts, literacy initiatives that have placed over 100,000 books into the hands of local children. I think that's amazing. It's astonishing. And created a fatherhood space that's changing lives. We're honored to have him with us to talk about loving your neighbor, creating opportunity, and leading with heart.
Yeah, so we want to introduce to everybody John Cesar, aka Bookman.
Bookman, I love it. I got to see John Cesar in his Bookman outfit. I was like, okay, I like this. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
How you doing, John?
Nervous, but once I get in the hang of it, I'll be all right.
Yeah, you'll be good. You'll be good.
So John, I mean, I've known you for a few years now, and we've done some great work together. But I want to talk to you about your personal development. You know, I know we talked about a lot of the things that you have been doing as a person, and overcoming a lot of cultural stigmas and the things that you're facing when it comes to that. Can we talk about? Let's start there. Let's start talking about your path of becoming John. Facing the challenges, overcoming the stigmas, and your personal development. Let's start there.
Okay. Very deep for early lunch.
Yeah,
unfortunately, I just go there. You know, it's kind of like my default mode. You know,
you don't know how Omar is.
I do. That's why I was so nervous. But I don't know. I'm still learning myself, still growing. There's still a lot of areas of improvement. Like I call myself a lazy perfectionist, because when I do things, I want to do it right. But then I'm also sometimes could be lazy in starting. The biggest thing for me is starting something. But once I started, like I'm all in, I'm all invested. But I'm still learning myself. I'm actually in therapy, still trying to learn and heal the little boy. I call it the little John in me that gets still triggered, like in my life, especially in marriage right now, trying to heal some things, some wounds and stuff like that. So I'm still learning, growing myself. I don't know if that answered any of your questions. Feel free to hop in, so I could
Absolutely.
make sure I'm
Yeah.
answering them.
So, as a Caribbean man, right, we seldom are told, particularly in our culture, to get, you don't think about this stuff. You don't talk about these things. You just get through life. What motivated you to really take these steps to get to know little John better, to work on that internal part?
My biggest motivator that made me take a step back was having my own son. So just remember just looking at him, and as he got older and got to that point where he's talking back, just being able to express his own mind, I was just like, whoa, like I have to figure like who I am, and who I see in the mirror, because this, like, I have this man, like future man that I need to bring up. And the fact I didn't have a father in home and things, I had to sit back and address that and try to find healing. And because what I wanted to make sure I provided all that I could for him. So it was my biggest motivator to take a step back and really search myself. And I had to take a step back and really unlearn a lot of things that society, the world, taught me what it was to be a man or a father. I had to really unlearn that, because when I took the time to think, I was like, some of it wasn't as healthy. Sometimes I know when a lot of us have heard it, man up, or boys don't cry, different things like that. And it's like, when I took a step back and thought about it, I was like, why not? He's a little boy. I know there's a couple incidents happened in daycare. Like, he came home and one of the things, he wanted to be like a princess. And I was like, I kind of freaked out. I was like, oh no. But then I had to take a step back. I was like, okay, he spends about 6-7 hours a day at a child care center, and it's mostly women. And then at the time I was working a lot. So especially in the beginning, like a few months, it was sometimes I come home and he didn't want hug me or anything, because I was a stranger. I was busy working, trying to, what they say, to provide for your family and things like that. So I had to take a step back and realize, like, yes, we need to provide, but I also need to be there more, because it's like, he was coming home and it was like, he didn't want me because I was like a stranger. And I was like, why? But I realized I was working so much. And when I wasn't working, I wanted some me time to decope. So all that played a role in me trying to take a step back and do better.
Yes.
Can I just ask you, just that I'm just very curious, because you're in the process of like evolving, you said you're seeking out therapy and whatnot and learning things about little John. Are there any like practices that sort of help, what do you call that? Like engage in continuing the evolution on a daily? Like, do you have any kind of practices? What are those?
Oh yeah. So I'm a man of faith. So my first is God, and spending that time along in the morning to start my day right, start my mindset. Recently, I've been learning about just the difference between mindset and behavioral changes. Sometimes you could go, and we all try to fix ourselves and change behaviorally, but if you don't change your mind and your way of thinking, you'll come back to that behavior. So instead of behavior modification, it's renewing my mind. So one, my faith. Two, journaling has helped, because a lot of things that that little boy would be scared to say, or just things that may pop up, I could journal with it, and it's an avenue of letting it out, because I'm kind of an introvert, so I don't get out there and talk to everybody. So it's a way of me expressing myself and getting all that's wrapped up out. So journaling has been helpful. I'm trying to get back to be more consistent, but before I was like every day, so often, so many times a day. But now I'm trying to get back to being more consistent.
Got it. I like that. Thank you.
When you talk about the little boy, right, and for men, it sounds kind of weird, right? And we always talk when we do can you speak to that importance of reconnecting with that aspect of us, that little boy that's inside of us?
Yeah, it does sound weird until you do the work yourself, or go through something and understand what it means. So for example, I'll say for my marriage, for example, there's times where my wife may say something that triggers me. It has nothing to do with her, but then I learned it was something that had happened in childhood, something that I either didn't receive from my parents or whatnot, or something that they said that might have triggered or hurt me that I just kept in. So I had to take a step back and realize, look, whatever this is, it's not from her, and I had to take a step back and go back. Okay, what time in my childhood was this pain that I'm feeling, or this feeling that I'm feeling, and try to sit in that. Because at times growing up, you get pain, you man up, and you kept moving, right? But I had to stop, take a step back, and actually address them feelings. And because at times, if you don't address it and just put it under a rug, after a while, it's going to come out. A lot of times, society have shown it comes out and it blows up. So taking that time to, hey, sit down and be like, okay, why did I feel this insecurity, or why did I feel this sadness? Oh, it's because I wanted a little more hugs, or whatever the case is. But it does take some courage, because before, when I first started, I did not want to do it, because those feelings kind of like, don't want to touch them feelings. But to me, I feel like if we don't address it, it's going to come back. And the more you keep running from it, those issues come out. It may look different every time it comes back, but it's going to come back. Those insecurities, those fears, whatever it is, they do come back. And so you have to stop and address it. So that's what I'm working on and still doing.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. I'm just curious. I'm sure there are people who are probably listening going, okay, well, that's super easy for you to say, but you're not in my situation, right? What is a little like tidbit or a nugget that you could share with people, particularly the men, right? That get just to go through this experience and being able to step back and sort of analyze what just happened here and how they can show up differently as a result of that. Stepping back, the perspective, we have the PEP framework, perspective, experience, and then philosophy. How you can step back and zoom out of a situation and then analyze it and take that experience and transform from that. Like, what can you offer on that? Because I think it's easier said than done sometimes for people.
It definitely is. And I'm no expert. So that's why I partner with people like Omar and Kevin. I'm still learning. I'm still learning myself. So getting help, being willing to find a safe space, find a safe person to be able to receive that help. I'm also a thinker. So I may not talk a lot, but I'm always thinking, always processing. So that kind of plays a role for me. It's easy for me to stop and think, because I'm already thinking. Sometimes I overthink, but it's something I do already. But for me, my thing is what pushes me is something I know my wife says, it's actually in the Bible, but something I recall from Spider-Man: with great power comes great responsibility. For me, I feel as a man, we already have power, because it's just how the world works as a man. So with that power, you have responsibility. So my responsibility is make sure my choices and everything aligns correctly. But it's just, for me, how I could raise my boys is, it's your life. We all have choices. Even at 5 and 9 years old, I tell them, like, at the end of the day, you're going to be a grown man one day, and you're going to be able to do whatever you want. My job is to teach you, to make sure you understand the consequences and things that come with those actions. Because before, I used to try to put them in the bubble and protect them, but then I realized like you could only protect them so long. The best way to do is teach them about their choices and responsibilities. Let them make mistakes, because at the end of the day, they're going to go in the world, and if you don't get them ready now, they'll make mistakes. So it's really about choices. So I made that choice. Like, I want to be better. I want this. So until a man or individual say, I want it for myself, like, you can't, like, what I mean? It's an impersonal want and desire, because we can have them go through programs. And I've seen it through my work experience, that you could go through all kinds of programs. And if they don't want it from themselves, it's the behavior, whatever it is, it's going to come back. So it really takes self acknowledgement, like, I want this, and do it.
A question about taking all this information, all this deep personal development or unfoldment, and all these realizations and new discoveries, and we're talking primarily about a father figure, but how does that translate into your professional life, into the way that you show up at work?
I'm blessed to be at work where I'm working at Children's Services Council. It's funny because it's comes full circle, because I was one of those kids that attended one of their after school program that literally did keep me off the street. Coming home here from Haiti, just mom, grandma, and my brother. My grandma couldn't read, write, no English, couldn't really help us when it comes to that. And my mom was working 2 jobs just for us to survive. So it was just me and my brother. So someone recommended after school program, and that really provided us an opportunity. We had caring adults that, stepped in and helped. So like all my life experiences and my journey, that's why when I do things, there's passion behind it, because it's just me giving back and doing something that someone else did for me, having that caring adult take the time to do what they do for me. So that's why it's, I shouldn't say easy, but it doesn't feel like work a lot of times, because it's just doing what someone else did to me. Something like Bookman, for example, I tell people like, I actually don't like reading. I actually hate reading. But they're like, how are you so successful? But I allow a weakness to be a strength. Because I don't like reading, I took a step back and realized like, what would I needed? Or what did the little John needed? Like, so my thing I realized is the little John needed opportunity to fall in love with reading. At times as adults, we push on, you need to learn to read. It's important. And it's like, yeah, it's important, but but so my thing is I make it fun. I provide them an opportunity to find something they like, enjoy. So little things like that is, it's been successful. One, because I believe God blessed it, but also because just what has worked for me or what would work for me. And then the Father's Initiative that we started, that's all from experience, from me going the journey that I'm going through. It's just we create a safe space for the guys so they could walk along with me, or I walk with them, whatever it is. It's not me, oh, this is how you be a good father. No, because I still learning. So I don't know if that answered. I just be
no. That's perfect. That's perfect. So what we're gonna do is this: we're gonna take a break, right? But when we come back, we want to talk to you about, the More Than a Game initiative. You started talking about that, but we want to get more into that, and also the importance of giving back to the community through your job and the things that you do with your church as well. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back after this with more of John Cesar.
You're listening to the ASQ podcast, a transformational approach to life and leadership. Too many of us chase clarity but feel scattered. What if your challenge isn't failure, but the threshold before expansion? Each month, we gather live for a transformational webinar where contraction becomes coherence. Register today and receive your Soul GPS journal. Begin your journey within. Scan the QR code or visit asqempowerment.com.
At ASQ, we need one platform to do it all: funnels, emails, forms, and automations. That's why we run our entire ecosystem on Go High Level. It is the tool that saves us time and builds real connections with our audience. We believe in it, we use it, and we recommend it. Start your free trial through our affiliate link today.
We don't just find podcast guests, we find aligned voices. That's why ASQ uses Podmatch to connect with leaders and creators worldwide. It's how we've built relationships that shape life and culture. If you want meaningful conversations, join through our affiliate link today or scan the QR code. Find your match on Podmatch.
Leaders are burning out. Teams are disengaged. Cultures are fragmenting. ASQ Empowerment transforms leadership and culture from the inside out. Our Coherence Quest bridges ancient wisdom with modern neuroscience, helping organizations align, adapt, and thrive. Start with an organizational snapshot assessment. So, visit now at asqempowerment.com and schedule your briefing today. ASQ Empowerment. Lead your life. Shape your culture. Begin within.
Welcome back. You're listening to the ASQ podcast with Dr. Jesse and Omar Ferreira, a transformational approach to life and leadership.
All right, everybody, we're back with John Cesar here on the ASQ podcast live. So, John, let's talk about one of the things that I like that you talked about was thinking, right, and the faculty of thinking, and the importance of understanding that. So, from that point of view of thinking in terms of your personal development, but then segueing that into applying that to the community for the betterment. Let's talk about the catalyst for More Than a Game. What were your thoughts when you came up with this? Because again, CSC is not an organization that focuses on programming, delivering programming. So this is a different initiative, something that is completely outside of the box from the standpoint of what they do. So let's talk about what was the idea of More Than a Game? Where did it come from, and how do you go about putting it into action?
Okay, well, first, I kind of started mentioning how grateful I am to have my role, and just blessed to be able to have a space to be able to allow creativity and just flow. And so the More Than a Game was just, we wanted to find a way to outreach to fathers and father figures, men in general, because data was showing that a lot of our resources and programs are being used by moms and grandparents. So there was a gap. So Sean and Ashley came to me and was like we were trying to find ways to outreach to men in general. So we had some ideas going back and forward. More Than a Game, I laugh because my wife has been telling me for years about, hey, doing stuff like More Than a Game, because before I used to lead Bible study and other groups prior to it, and that kind of just stopped. And she's been pushing me to do stuff. And as a man of faith, I say God has been pushing me, but I'm kind of stubborn. And like I mentioned earlier, a lazy perfectionist. And I know kind of how much work it takes to do certain things. And I'm like, no, thank you.
No, next
so
time.
I avoided it, and in my personal life avoided it. I was like, no, thank you. No, thank you. So when that came up and I was kind of like in a role and was asked to do something, it was part of my job. I had the opportunity to kind of flow and had the freedom to be creative. So More Than a Game, it was actually just outreach it was supposed to be like one time kind of thing to bring guys together, share with them about local resources, specifically our funded programs, so they could be aware, and then have that space to talk about fatherhood. And then it just took off. The need was definitely there. The community showed there was a great need for it. So we built up. But originally the idea, I thought about, okay, what would bring me into the door? Mm-hmm. And I'm a love basketball phenom. That was my thing. More Than a Game, the name itself was because as a basketball player, ball was life is something we used to say, like ball is life, like forget about everything, ball is life, like type of mentality. But it was after I got, married and the kids, I realized like life is more than a game. So that's where the name actually came, like realizing like it's not just basketball. Life is more than a game. Okay. So, and then basketball was my love. So I was like, if someone had a program and allowed me to play ball, I'm gonna come. So I put it together, like what would bring me to the door. So the strategy was we rented out a space and we provided the men 2 hours of free basketball time. As I get older, I realized the importance of that, just basketball time for us, not chasing around little teens that's faster than us. So I realized the importance of that. So 2 hours is just guys be able to open gym type thing, play freely. But before they get that 2 hours, we require an hour of their time. And I thought an hour and you get 2 hours, like 2 for 1 type deal, buy one, get. So that's what that idea came from me. So the hour, we asked of them, you don't have to say anything. Just give us an open ear. That's what we required of them. Within that hour, we bring in a resource each week so they can learn about a local resource and to get to ask questions from that organization itself. And then I partnered with Kevin Singletary at the time to start to do a curriculum that he'd done in past, Nurturing Fathers curriculum. So within that hour, that's what we did. We broke it out. We did all that. And then they got to the reason why some of them came to play basketball. So that's how it created. And now it's been, I think, 4 or 5 years. And now we have bowling and golf in the summer. So it's added. And I know guys keep giving me ideas. I want this. I want more. And it's like, hey guys, I have a role. And like,
Sean hasn't said you got to put some pickleball in there.
Yes, that's been mentioned. But we typically it's an initiative because we don't go into we don't want to do programming. So it's more of an initiative. And that's why we try to partner and bring in resources. So we bring in organizations, fathers organizations that do this full time. So we could try to connect the gap. And I even invite them in to build relationships. Because at the end of the day, especially when you're talking about men, like, I don't know you. How are you going to tell me how to be a father or a man? I don't know you. So you have to build those relationships or just create a safe space to just allow them to be themselves. So that's what happened.
Yeah.
I love
Now,
it.
now, what have you discovered? I mean, I know you mentioned the data was telling us that men were not being engaged in all these different programs. But from that premise and then in the implementation of the program, what have you found out about men's needs in our community?
Um, the need for a safe space for them is definitely there, and that's why we continue to grow. For us, we're like, I joke with my wife, we're built differently. Like my wife will go to the store and she'll walk out and have a friend. Me, I'll say what's up and do nod and keep moving along. So we're kind of built different. Like, but we
Oh, yeah.
also need relationships. We also need community. And at times, I've seen, based on experience and based on hearing from the other dads who participate, we all go in life, have to be strong, have to, keep our heads up and keep moving. And a lot of times we're doing it alone and we're struggling, we're hurting, and we think it's just we're doing it by ourselves and we're the only ones struggling. But once you create that safe space and realize, oh, I'm having that same issue, same problem, it kind of lifts you up. It lifts up your spirit and be able to chat and bounce ideas and support one another. And I realized we kind of lack that. A lot of programs are kind of geared towards, unfortunately, not too many men, and there's probably many reasons why. But I feel there is not enough. And then some men, like church, for example, I know there's a lot of churches that have men's groups, but not everyone may go to that. So I've realized this opportunity is just outside of that, even though I'm a man of faith and I still lead in a certain way, but being outside the church also brings other groups that may not have gone because it's in a church building. So,
yeah.
Well, that's a good point, actually. Yeah. I want to learn more I want to learn more about how the literacy initiative came to be. I know that you said that you hated reading. So it's interesting that you do this or lead this program, and what kind of outcomes you've gotten from that as a result of how you lead personally and how you show up in your career.
Okay, well, trying to make it short story.
I know. Sorry.
We got time. Don't worry.
I'm sure but I'm very curious. I thought the day that I saw you in the outfit, in the bookman outfit, the superhero outfit, and I was like, I'm gonna save it for the time when we meet. So here I am.
Oh yeah. So long story short, so my role since then have changed. When I came on board in 2019, I was on contract just to do the St. Lucie Reads initiative, and then since then, it's changed to engagement for Children's Services Council, and I still coordinate the St. Lucie Reads initiative. So things have changed, but we've still kept the initiative under our umbrella because we created funding to be able to maintain and support. So the initiative is part of the state level reading campaign to ensure every kid's reading on grade level by the third grade. And there's data to show why. But our initiative looks different per county. When I first came in, I went to Indian River and Martin, and I was like, and because I was trying to compare myself. That's one of the things I'm working on myself, not compare.
Right.
But so I had to take a step back and see what's working for us. And so we do it differently compared to others. But long story short, when I came in, we kind of changed how things did because I saw how we were doing things. And I was like, that wouldn't work for me. Like putting the book in a bag and read. Yeah. It was like, no. So I took a step back. I did a lot of learning, researching, because at the end of the day, this was not my field. I didn't like reading. My background is psychology and sociology, and I was a case manager and licensed foster homes. This is definitely not, but God has a funny way of showing himself, and he closed a lot of doors. I applied to other jobs, and a lot of doors were no for many reasons. And this one opened up, and I said no originally. I was like, I'm not going to apply for that, but I had support that said, go ahead, we'll support you. My wife and her mom and sister, they're our teachers and school counselors and all that. So they're like, we'll support you. So I went in and I took a leap of faith, and now years later, I'm still doing it, and I'm called Bookman. But most of it was from something that I was doing with my own boys. I provide them an opportunity to love to read. So my fourth grader, like I joke with people, he's read more book in his little lifetime than I did in my lifetime. Like he loves reading. Like as soon as he gets in the car, he opens the book and we're like, put that down. I'm trying to teach him to be in the moment now, because he's always escaping. It's like, stop being in the moment. So it's funny. But I took what was working for my son, and I implement it in my workspace. So creating an opportunity for them to fall in love with reading. Another thing that we implemented was putting the books out and allowing the kids to pick the book themselves. A lot of times as an adult, we pick the book we thought or we could afford and put in the bag and say, hey, go read it. No, it's like, and then did research on what's the trend and what's going on. You know, there's always something hot, popular, and try to stay onto that. So like years ago, it was like the Avengers superhero movies. So we bought a bunch of superhero movies and put it out there. So if it's what's happening, they're more likely. And my target audience are the ones who don't like reading like myself. Because if you get them reading, the other ones like my son, like you give them any book, they'll read. But that's not who we should be targeting. We should be targeting the ones that don't. Because if we get them to like to read, for me, what I say is we're not getting them to fall in love with reading just to pass a test. We want them to be readers into adulthood so they could continue growing, continue pushing themselves. Because if we're just teaching them to read to pass a test, it's like, what are we really doing? They're going to be adults and all they want to do is scroll. And it's like, no, we want them to learn to read, to push themselves. I tell myself, like, or I tell people, if I loved reading, college would have been so much easier. All the books and research reports would have been so much easier. So that's what I do. I allow their weakness to be a strength. So that's why it's been how it's been.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
You know, you mentioned, I'm always listening to what people say, and what I'm hearing from you is this idea of number one, thinking, of number one, being creative, because you're experiencing something, but you have the wherewithal to translate it into work. You know, you the story with your kid teaching, you know, he's reading on its own. How do I bring this to everybody else? What would you consider, based on that faculty of thinking and put it into actions, how do you use that to approach life as a whole, in all aspects? I mean, I'm seeing patterns here, but how do you is that something that you are aware that you're doing and purposely doing, or is something that just kind of like happens naturally?
As in bringing my personal into workspace? I think the environment, the culture, because I've been fortunate too, because my wife says it all the time. Like when I first started, like I was ready to go because I don't usually stay in jobs too long. Like I had a habit of that. I think my mindset, I get bored. So I remember when I kind of was like, when I was here and I was kind of like, oh, look, kind of like, oh no, I don't know. She had to get me back. It's like, what are you doing? Like, why would you leave here? But I just realized like like how I work, like I'm ready to start the new challenge. So, but because of this culture and this space that I have to be creative and be able to come up with something great and do what I don't know, just the culture itself has allowed me to be myself. It's not a space where you have to take your personality and leave it at the door. I could bring it with me. So, which is huge because all my personal experiences, what's working at home, I could take that into my work and help other families and people. So I'm not sure if that answers it, but
no,
it does.
The space itself is huge.
I was going to say, if you really think about it, that's exactly what you're doing. As a result of being offered that opportunity to have a space to be creative, grow, evolve, you're also creating those spaces for other people with more than a game, with the book, you know, the Bookman. I mean, I'm just thinking that through, and I love that.
Yeah. I mean, that's a beautiful thing. Something else that you mentioned is, you know, from your faith, you have this idea of with great power comes great responsibility. Can you talk to us about the importance of understanding, based on your faith, this idea of being that example in community and in the way that you show up in family?
Where do I start? I don't know. For me, I feel that God's been so gracious for me in my life, ups, downs, just all that I've gone through. So to me serving and helping is just how I'm built. It's just natural because I can't want grace, but can't give grace, you know? So my thing is I'm doing what I want someone else to do for me or do for my child or do for anyone else. So that's just my mentality. Like, who am I? I'm no one. Like, that's one of the things I'm still learning to accept love, accept being praised and stuff like that, because I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'd rather stay back here because like literally, I don't know if it's just my mindset or I'm just built different. Like, I like me helping someone, that's like, it's what I think. Like, if I go to an event or go to a networking event, I'd rather just be out there helping, serving, like, oh, you do need this? Let me open the door for you, than actually be up front talking. Like, that's more natural for me. It's something I'm trying to challenge myself to stretch, because I have to get ready to be on the stage and talking more and doing stuff like this more, which is not my most exciting thing to do. But to me, it just comes natural. Too, it's just, I give grace because I want grace.
Let me ask you this, because that sort of leads into a question that I wanted to ask. When we invited you to be a guest, you made the recommendation for a title for the show that was "Love Thy Neighbor," blah blah blah. Dot dot dot. We used that as part of that because I found it suited this discussion, right? But I'm really interested in learning what does that mean to you, love thy neighbor? Because I think that, again, way easier said. It's easy to say, but it's not easy to practice. And so I'm really curious to know what your thoughts are behind that, because you made the suggestion and we liked it. We were like, yeah, let's do that, But again, easier said than done. So I'd love to hear your perspective.
Okay. Love thy neighbor is one of my core values for myself. I feel if you could love your neighbor of the world, or whoever, we all could learn to love one another. Your neighbor, like I tell my kids, your neighbor is not just who lives next to you. It's whoever you interact with. Your don't even have to be your friends. It could be just walking down the store. Like, you don't know your impact. Just a smile could change someone's world just in the grocery store. Like, that's just how my core value and what I believe for myself. Because it's just, to me, like I said, grace. I think grace is a form of love, and I feel I want to be loved. I want grace, so I need to give it back. But it's just a core value that I follow, loving that neighbor. And I feel if we would love our neighbor, a lot of these, conflicts and fights and everything else, that would just be like, if you love someone, you wouldn't want to take from them. You wouldn't want to hurt them. Like, yes, it would happen because we're human, but there's grace, there's forgiveness, there's healing, and then, move on. So
right.
Not sure if that answered your question.
No, absolutely. It does.
Perfectly put.
You. Yeah.
Perfectly put. Yeah, man. Yeah. A final word before we ask you to tell us about some of the things that are coming up and these things like that. Because you're saying a lot of beautiful things when it comes to, and it almost sounds philosophical in nature, right? But can you really drive up the point of why this is so important and practical right now? Why in our day and age is it so important to love our neighbors? Why is it important to create spaces so that men, women, children feel encouraged, right? So that we don't take away from them. In fact, we enhance. Because this is not philosophy. This is like lived life. Why is it so important for us to be able to go out there with that smile on our face and make somebody else's life much better?
Yeah, and it sounds cute and it sounds easy, and it's not. There's times like I mentioned when I first got on, I'm on counseling. I'm in counseling, so I'm not saying perfect or anything like that. And there's times I know in the past I've struggled with depressions and just being just down and things like that. But like, for example, just last month for my birthday, it just felt an overwhelming sense of just low. And I have everything. I have kids. I have a healthy family. But heaviness just felt all over me. But I had to take a step back and remind myself, maybe focus on gratitude, focus on good things. And the more I did that, I was able to lift myself out of the funk, per se. And there's a lot of times where I laugh and I don't like people. People are just horrible. People are just horrible. But after I say that, I make the choice to say, hey, but as messed up as you are, I am too. I look in the mirror like I look at you just like I would want grace. I give you grace. you got a lot of issues, but I do too. They may look different, but we are, to me, we all fall short in some kind of capacity. So that's what I look into. I'm trying to remember your question now.
No. You're answering it. Yeah, you're answering it. You know, well, John, listen, I know the type of work that you have done. I'm thankful and grateful all the time for the invite to be a part of More Than a Game and the work that you do. If any final words and that you would like people to feel encouraged about, and then also after that, please tell us about how people could connect to the work that you're doing with Bookman and with More Than a Game.
I should have prepared this for this one, right?
I'm not going to test you on the 5 things, like you do with the guys, but
yeah. My biggest takeaway is, especially today in this world that we live in this America that we live in, it's so much going on, so much fighting, division, hatred. But for me, I feel like we were created for relationships. We're created for one another. And the more you divide, you're going to be chasing all kinds of stuff, trying to fill a hole that like you never fill, because we were created for a specific purpose. So my biggest thing is take the time to figure out your purpose, the reason why you're created, and just love. I know it sounds funny, and just something like love. What is that? And especially coming from a man, and that's something that I feel like we need to change too. Like a man could love, a man wants to be loved, a man should be loved. Yes, respect. We want to be respected, but respect. You won't respect someone that you don't love in a sense. So my biggest thing is I want to close it out with love, because at the end of the day, that's what would change and bring people together. Yes, we're not perfect and we'll not agree, but let's still be able to find a way to not hate each other and come together. Yeah, I should have been better prepared, but that's one of the things I'm working on, to be able to speak in these spaces comfortably.
Yeah. This was good. You're fine. So if anybody wanted to get in touch with you to learn more about More Than a Game and Bookman, how would they go about doing those initiatives?
They could go on the Children's Services website, which is cscslc.org. They could reach out to me. I could provide my email address, Cesar @cscslc.org.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, John, man, thank you so much for taking the time and being with us, and for being open and for sharing all these deep things, which is some of the things that we're trying to normalize when it comes to men, being a good father, being a good community member, and being all that stuff. So we want to thank you for taking your time for being here today.
Yes, thank you. And I'm gonna work on everything.
You're doing fine, man. You're doing great. You're doing
Stop
great.
beating yourself up.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
It's easier to give others grace. I'm still learning to give myself grace. That's one of the other things.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right, I will see you on Saturday.
Yes.
And Soul Questers will be right back after this commercial break.
You're listening to the ASQ podcast, a transformational approach to life and leadership. Coming this December, A Soul's Quest, a transformational approach to life and leadership. A book that bridges science, wisdom, and lived experience so you can lead with coherence. Don't miss the launch. Join the waiting list today, scan the QR code, or visit asqempowerment.com.
At ASQ, we believe every creative deserves a safe space to share. That's why we use and proudly recommend Gnostic TV. It's where your content won't be silenced and your vision can flourish. Sign up through our affiliate link and be part of this Freedom Center platform. Create boldly on Gnostic TV. Across boardrooms, nonprofits, and communities, too many leaders are quietly burning out. They know what's not working, but not how to turn inertia into momentum. That's where I come in. I help leaders, fathers, and organizations move from quiet crisis into coherence, so cultures can thrive from the inside out. Book me today at asqempowerment.com and bring coherence to your next event.
Welcome back. You're listening to the ASQ podcast with Dr. Jesse and Omar Ferreira, a transformational approach to life and leadership.
All right, we are back. We are back. That was pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really have a really strong appreciation for the fact that one of his missions is to normalize what it means to be a man in society today, because I think there's a lot of pressure. I mean, there's always been a lot of pressure to be a man, because like he said, we're expected to be, this, that, strong. And, I don't need love. I just need to be respected, kind of thing. But that's not really the case. And
No,
that's
I mean,
what we're discovering.
Yeah. And the data suggests all these challenges and stuff like that. That's when you start listening to, not just the data, but the way that a man approaches this, and being genuinely, because, when you listen to John talk, it's something that comes from a deeper place.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing about it. So let's recap. What stood out from you from this conversation?
I think the one thing that he said that really stood out for me was that idea of, mindset change and the practices that he uses to implement that shift in the mindset and raising his awareness, which is like the journaling and just kind of taking a pause and, reconvening with himself to say, where did this reaction come from? Why did this happen? Why did this take place? And I think that says a lot, because I think that people feel a lot of the time like they don't have the time to do that inner work that we need. And it really is a small amounts of time throughout the day in order to effectively have a mindset change. And so I like that. And also the fact that, he said, it's easy for me to give grace, but it's not easy for me to give it to myself, to receive it. And I think that his acknowledgement of that as well is really strong and important, because it's something that he's working through. And I think men particularly don't feel, and some women too, don't feel that they can show their softer side, and I think that's important. It's a movement that's really necessary today.
Yeah. And it doesn't take away from being a man,
Nah, not at all.
It doesn't take away from that. It's just an enhancement of discovering the anime aspect of us, right? There's a couple of things that stood out for me. The first one is that aspect of the personal development of stretching and learning, right? I've been thinking about Bookman didn't like reading books at first, right? But because he had to go through that experience with his kid, and then being able to say, well, if I have to walk it, if I have to talk it, I'm going to have to walk it too.
To model it,
right? You have to model it. So that's always like that idea of stretching and learning and pushing yourself to do that. Also, the idea that he thinks a lot is actually a beautiful thing, because through thinking, you're able to see, this is how I'm going to stretch it. This is how I'm going to learn.
Right.
So I thought that was actually really good. The second part was that foundational philosophy, right? That idea of his values, that core, that his faith is important to him, and that idea that if I want to get grace, I have to give grace. Right. So,
and acknowledging that he wants it,
because one of the things that we talk about in our coherence quest is that idea of recognition, which is recognition and a sense of belonging. We all want that, and it's okay to want those things, but like him, he understands it so well that it's about, I want to receive grace, so I want to give it, right?
And modeling it,
right? So I thought that was actually really cool, because of the value of agape, right? Which is loving your neighbor. It's fundamental in every single religion, every single philosophy. It's all there, but it is so challenging to do, because we don't segue from that idea of, I have to give grace before I get grace. Right. It's like, it's kind of like the paradox of it. Right. And the last thing that I kind of like stood out for me was this idea of, he works at a place that allows him to be a whole human. Right.
That's huge.
Right. That's huge. That idea, because if it wasn't for the culture of CSC, we wouldn't have Bookman, because you saw what happens at the two different counties, right? We wouldn't be able to have something as creative as More Than a Game. Right. So having to work at that culture, and then consequently him going out there and creating a culture and environment in which people could feel the same way. I thought those things kind of like stood out for me as big takeaways from this conversation.
It's really huge. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think that that's one of the things that, you have to be able to shift your your leadership in the way that you show up,
Mhm.
and have an acknowledgement that I think maybe going this way, you know, creating cultures where people can be that where they have autonomy, that they feel that they can express themselves and be creative, affects not only their organization or their immediate surroundings, but
Yep.
it's like the butterfly effect. you
Yeah,
know
I
what
mean, it affects the
and it's
family.
powerful. Yes.
I mean, because if you listen to the conversation, he's taking things that he's experiencing personally,
Yep.
applying it to his family and how he interacts with his boys, and then creating the same process with the reading initiative, but also with the men, and bringing it all together. It only happens in an environment that allows for all that, and that's the beautiful thing of that.
And we are going to be talking about all of these things in our masterclass in January. So if you want to learn more information about it, check us out at asqempowerment.com. And we hope to connect with you all soon. And I'm taking over. Here,
Absolutely.
you
Go
do
for it. Yeah, yeah. Well, we want to thank you all for being here today with us at the ASQ Podcast Live. And remember to
lead your life,
shape your culture, and begin within. Have a great afternoon, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the ASQ podcast. Remember to lead your life, shape your culture, begin within. Visit us at asqempowerment.com and join the movement.